Dwayne.
Then this must be a...
What's happening, TV fans, behind the laughs and catchphrases of this beloved 70s sitcom lie? Incredible secrets that even die-hard fans never knew. From accidental dance moves to real-life emergencies caught on camera, these 20 wild facts will completely change how you see Roger, Rerun, Dwayne, and Mama forever. Number 1. The infamous bootleg recording scene almost never happened. Picture this: Roger, Dwayne, and Rerun sneaking recording equipment into a Doobie Brothers concert. Their hearts pounding as they attempt the perfect crime. What you didn't know is that this legendary 2-part episode almost never made it to air. The network executives were terrified of glamorizing music piracy, especially during an era when bootleg recordings were devastating the music industry. The writers had to completely rewrite the consequences 3 times before NBC would approve it. Originally, the boys were supposed to get away with it, but censors demanded they face serious legal trouble. The irony. The very scene meant to discourage piracy became one of television's most memorable portrayals of teenage rebellion, inspiring countless viewers to wonder what it would be like to record their favorite bands illegally. Number 2. Shirleys Diner was actually a converted barbershop. Every time Mama sits behind that counter, dispensing wisdom and burgers, she's actually standing in what used to be a working barbershop in Hollywood. The production team discovered this location after their original diner set burned down during pre-production. Rather than rebuild, they decided to transform this authentic neighborhood barbershop into Shirley's establishment. If you look closely during wide shots, you can still see the original barber pole mounting brackets on the wall behind the grill. The elderly barber who owned the shop, Mr. Giuseppe Torino, actually appears as an extra in 17 different episodes, always sitting in the same corner booth. He refused payment, saying he just wanted to watch his old shop come alive again with laughter and stories. Number 3, the What's Happening dance was created by accident. That signature shoulder-bouncing, finger-snapping dance that became synonymous with the show's opening credits. It was never choreographed. During the filming of the pilot episode's opening sequence, Ernest Thomas Roger was supposed to walk normally down the street while the theme music played. However, the playback equipment kept malfunctioning, causing the music to stutter and loop. Instead of stopping production, Thomas began moving to the broken rhythm, creating those distinctive jerky movements that seemed to match the musical glitches perfectly. The directors loved it so much they kept the mistake and built the entire opening sequence around this accidental choreography. The dance became so popular that fans would recreate it at block parties across America, never knowing they were mimicking a technical malfunction. Number 4. Rerun's fake collapse scene required real medical attention. Remember the episode where Rerun pretends to faint to get out of trouble, only to actually pass out? For real, Fred Berry wasn't acting during the second collapse. The studio lights were incredibly hot that day, reaching temperatures of over 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and Berry had been wearing his heavy jacket for 6 straight hours of filming. When he delivered his final line before the fake faint, he genuinely lost consciousness and crumpled to the floor. The cameras kept rolling because the crew thought it was part of his performance, creating an eerily authentic moment of television. A medic was called and Berry was treated for heat exhaustion. When he recovered and watched the playback, he insisted they keep the real fainting spell in the final cut, saying it was the most convincing acting he'd ever done. Number 5, the apartment set had real neighbors. The Thomas family's apartment building wasn't just a set, it was a functioning residential building in Los Angeles where real families lived during filming. The production company rented only 3 units: the Thomas apartment, the hallway, and 1 neighboring unit for equipment storage. The other tenants continued their daily lives while cameras rolled just feet from their doors. Mrs. Rodriguez, who lived in 3B, became an unofficial script consultant because she could hear every line through the thin walls and would often knock with suggestions for more authentic dialogue. Her input helped shape several episodes, particularly those dealing with urban family dynamics. The building's original tenants were paid a small fee for the inconvenience, but many said the excitement of living next to a TV show was payment enough. Number 6. Mama's famous fried chicken recipe. Was real Mabel King Mama insisted on cooking actual food during every kitchen scene, refusing the typical television practice of using fake food props. Her fried chicken recipe, featured in multiple episodes, was her own grandmother's secret formula from South Carolina. Between takes, the cast and crew would devour the authentic meals she prepared, leading to numerous production delays as everyone gathered around the kitchen table for impromptu feasts. King kept detailed notes of every meal she cooked on set, eventually compiling them into a personal cookbook she gave to her fellow cast members as wrap gifts. The aroma of her cooking was so enticing that neighboring sound stages would send representatives asking if they could borrow a cup of whatever smells so good. Number 7, the corner store scene revealed a real crime. During filming of the episode where the boys witness a robbery at the corner store, the production accidentally captured an actual break-in happening across the street. The cameras were rolling for exterior shots when a real burglar smashed the window of Chen's Electronics and began stealing merchandise. Sharp-eyed viewers noticed the background activity during the original broadcast and called police. The footage became crucial evidence in solving the crime, and the burglar was convicted partly based on the television evidence. The store owner, Mr. Chen, was so grateful that he allowed the production to film in his newly repaired shop for free during the show's final season, appearing in several episodes as himself. Number 8, Dwayne's signature. Hey Heihei was a speech impediment solution. Haywood Nelson's distinctive catchphrase wasn't written into the script. It was actually a clever way to mask a temporary speech impediment. During the second season, Nelson developed a slight stutter due to the pressure of performing in front of live audiences. The speech coach hired by the production suggested he deliberately elongate certain sounds to maintain rhythm and confidence. Hey Heihei became his go-to phrase for regaining composure when he felt his stutter beginning. The writers noticed how naturally he used it between lines and decided to incorporate it into Dwayne's character permanently. Nelson later credited this technique with completely overcoming his speech difficulties, saying the show literally taught him how to speak with confidence again. Number 9, the school hallway was shared with 3 other shows. The hallway scenes at Jefferson High School were filmed on the same set used by Welcome Back Kotter, Outage, The White Shadow, and Square Pegs. Production schedules were so tightly coordinated that different shows would film their hallway scenes on different days of the week, with set decorators working overnight to change posters, bulletin boards, and school colors. Occasionally, props from other shows would accidentally remain in shot, creating continuity errors that became inside jokes among dedicated viewers. The same set of lockers appeared in over 200 different television episodes across multiple series. Some eagle-eyed fans created detailed maps showing exactly which locker numbers appeared in which shows, discovering that locker number 247 was the most frequently used in television history. Number 10. Roger's report card scene used real failing grades. The devastating moment when Roger's report card reveals his academic struggles hit so close to home for Ernest Thomas that he requested the prop department use his actual high school transcript. Thomas had struggled academically before becoming an actor, and he wanted the scene to reflect genuine disappointment rather than television melodrama. His real grades, including a D- in mathematics and an F in chemistry, were recreated exactly on the prop report card. During filming, Thomas became visibly emotional, reading his authentic failures aloud, creating one of the series' most powerful dramatic moments. He later said that scene motivated him to return to school and complete his education, earning his degree years after the show ended. Number 11. The basketball court Samaya scene required professional athletes. When the boys play basketball in the school gymnasium, those weren't actors pretending to be athletes. They were actual members of the Los Angeles Lakers developmental team. The production couldn't afford professional basketball consultants, so Lakers coach Jerry West offered to lend several players for authenticity. The scene where Rerun attempts to make a slam dunk was performed by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's training partner, who deliberately missed several attempts to make Fred Berry look more realistic by comparison. The final successful shot that appears in the episode was actually made by Berry himself after 47 failed attempts. The Lakers players were so impressed by his persistence that they invited him to attend their practices, leading to a lifelong friendship between Berry and several team members. Number 12. Shirley's dating advice scene prevented a real divorce. The episode featuring Mama giving relationship counsel to a troubled couple wasn't entirely fictional. The actors were playing out their real marital problems on camera. The guest stars married in real life were actually considering divorce and had agreed to appear on the show as a last attempt to work through their issues publicly. Mabel King, unaware of their real situation, delivered such heartfelt and genuine advice that the couple later credited the experience with saving their marriage. They remained married for 37 more years, sending Mabel King anniversary cards every year until her death. The script for that episode became a template for marriage counselors, with several therapists using Mama's dialogue as guidance for their own practice. Number 13, the talent show disaster was based on real events. The cringeworthy talent show episode where everything goes wrong was inspired by an actual disaster at Ernest Thomas's high school. During his senior year, Thomas had organized a variety show where the sound system failed. The curtain got stuck and a tap dancer fell through a weakened stage floor. He pitched this experience to the writers, who initially thought it was too unbelievable for television. However, they eventually crafted the episode as an exact recreation of Thomas's real-life embarrassment, down to the specific sound effects and timing of each mishap. Thomas kept the original program from his high school show in his dressing room throughout the series' run, referring to it whenever he needed to remember the authentic feelings of teenage humiliation. Number 14. The Christmas episode featured real homeless individuals during the holiday special, where the family helps feed the homeless. The production made an unprecedented decision to cast actual homeless individuals from Los Angeles rather than hiring actors. The shelter scenes were filmed at a real homeless facility with genuine residents playing themselves. Several of these individuals had fascinating life stories. One had been a former jazz musician who lost everything to addiction. Another was a Vietnam veteran struggling with PTSD. The production provided meals, clothing, and temporary employment to everyone who participated. Most remarkably, 3 of the homeless individuals featured in the episode were so inspired by the experience that they successfully transitioned to permanent housing and steady employment within 6 months of filming. Number 15, the barbershop quartet scene solved a missing person case. When Rerun joins a barbershop quartet for one episode, the background singers were members of a real Los Angeles quartet called the Harmonizers. During the original broadcast, a viewer in Phoenix recognized one of the quartet members as her brother, who had disappeared 3 years earlier following a mental health crisis. The family had been searching desperately, filing missing person reports across multiple states. The brother, suffering from amnesia following a car accident, had been living in Los Angeles with no memory of his previous life. The television appearance led to an emotional reunion and proper medical treatment that restored his memory. The quartet continued performing together and dedicated all their subsequent performances to missing persons awareness. Number 16, Roger's job. Interview scene used actual employers. The episode where Roger interviews for part-time jobs featured real business owners playing themselves, not professional actors. The production reached out to local employers who agreed to conduct genuine interviews with Ernest Thomas while cameras rolled. 3 of the 5 interviews were completely unscripted. Thomas was actually trying to get hired, and the employers were legitimately considering him for employment. The hardware store owner was so impressed with Thomas's interview that he offered him a real part-time job, which Thomas seriously considered accepting during the show's hiatus. The authentic nervousness and awkwardness in these scenes came from Thomas genuinely not knowing whether he'd be hired or rejected, creating some of television's most realistic employment scenarios. Number 17. The dance competition episode featured a future stars. The background dancers in the school dance competition episode weren't random extras. They were students from a prestigious Los Angeles dance academy, several of whom later became famous choreographers and performers. Most notably, a young dancer visible in several wide shots later became the head choreographer for Janet Jackson's world tours. Another background dancer eventually joined the cast of Fame and later choreographed multiple Broadway productions. The dance moves featured in the episode were cutting-edge for 1977, incorporating elements of what would later be called breakdancing. Several of the original dance sequences from this episode were later recreated in music videos throughout the 1980s, making What's Happening an unintentional influence on hip-hop culture. Number 18, the power outage episode actually lost power. During filming of the episode where the family copes with a blackout, the soundstage actually lost electrical power due to a citywide grid failure. Instead of postponing production, the crew continued filming using battery-powered equipment and natural light streaming through the studio windows. The genuine confusion and adaptation visible in the actors' performances came from their real experience of working without proper lighting or sound equipment. Several lines of dialogue were improvised as the cast dealt with the actual technical difficulties. The episode's authentic atmosphere of family bonding during adversity resonated so strongly with viewers because the actors were genuinely experiencing the situation they were portraying. The power outage lasted 4 hours, during which the entire episode was completed using emergency lighting. Number 19. Mama's hospital scene was filmed during real surgery. When Mama undergoes minor surgery in the second season, Mabel King insisted on filming her scenes in an actual hospital operating room during a real procedure. She wanted the medical equipment, ambient sounds, and clinical atmosphere to be completely authentic, rather than recreated on a soundstage. The scene was shot at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center during a routine gallbladder surgery on a volunteer patient who agreed to be filmed. King wore a hospital gown and was positioned on an adjacent gurney, delivering her lines while actual surgery took place just feet away. The genuine medical activity in the background created an unprecedented level of realism for television drama. Several medical students who were observing the real surgery later said King's performance was so convincing, they initially thought she was actually a patient. Number 20. The final episode's goodbye scene wasn't scripted. The emotional farewell at the end of the series finale was never written into the script. It was the cast's spontaneous reaction to learning their show had been canceled. The cameras were rolling for what they believed was just another regular scene when a network executive arrived on set with the cancellation news. Rather than stopping production, the director kept filming as the cast processed their genuine emotions about the show ending. The tears, hugs, and final words spoken between the characters were actually the actors' real goodbyes to each other and to the roles that had defined their careers. This unrehearsed moment became one of television's most authentic series endings, with viewers witnessing the actual conclusion of a television family rather than a scripted farewell. 20 incredible secrets that prove what's happening was pure magic both on and off screen. Which fact shocked you the most? Drop a comment below if you loved discovering these hidden stories. Smash that subscribe button for more jaw-dropping secrets from your favorite classic shows. Hit the bell for notifications and tell us which vintage series we should investigate next.